If you want to obtain a Florida dealer license, all you need to do is submit a dealer application to the Florida Motor Vehicle Division. You'll need to get a dealer surety bond from an insurance agency, and you will need to submit your fingerprints, have a building and a lot, and also submit some photographs, and then register your business with the Florida Corporations Commission. And I'm going to show you how to easily obtain your Florida dealer license right now. Hello, I'm Dallas Johnson with Dealer Training, and if this is your first time listening to the podcast, I want to welcome you. If you're a licensed dealer or you are interested in obtaining your dealer license for the very first time, this podcast is designed just for you. So please consider subscribing so you can listen to content for dealers as soon as it is uploaded. First, I do want to give you some very valuable contact information for Florida dealers, because Florida dealers are regulated by the Florida Department of Highway and Safety and Motor Vehicle Division. You can call them directly at 850-617-3003. And I want you to be aware there are several types of dealer licenses in Florida. If you're going to sell brand new vehicles, then you're going to be a franchisee. So you'll need to get a vehicle franchise license. This is going to be for the person, that's opening the new Toyota or Chevrolet dealership. You'll also have a service facility license if you are operating as a franchisor with a service facility. I think most of you that are listening to this podcast are going to be interested in becoming a vehicle independent dealer. Excuse me. This allows a licensed dealer to buy, sell, or deal in used motor vehicles. There's also a wholesale license that allows you to sell directly to other dealers or maybe just through dealer auctions. Remember, a wholesale license does not allow you to sell retail to customers on the lot. You can only sell wholesale to other dealers. So do please keep that in mind. There's also a vehicle auction dealer, and this would be a dealer auction that's actually having dealer auctions. Okay, so please keep that in mind. There's also a Florida salvage dealer license, which allows a licensed salvage dealer to engage in the business of acquiring salvage or wrecked motor vehicles. There's a mobile home dealer, which allows licensed mobile home dealers to buy, sell, or deal in mobile homes. And they can also sell recreational vehicles if they do apply for a separate recreational vehicle endorsement. There's a license called a mobile home broker, which basically allows somebody to act as an intermediary between the buyer and the seller. And there's also going to be a recreational motor vehicle dealer license, which allows the sale of licensed recreational vehicles. So I do want to go in depth on the 7 steps in order to obtain your Florida dealer license. Step number 1, you need to complete an application. The first thing you need to do to obtain that Florida dealer license is to submit your Florida dealer application form 86056, and you'll be able to easily download that at the dealertraining.org website. Just click on Get Licensed and scroll down to the Florida link there. I want you to be aware if you make mistakes on that application, it will be returned. So you want to make sure that you spend some time on that application, and when you're filling the application out, you are actually filling it out not only for you, but for each person on the application. So I'm going to give you the heads up. If you ever put false information on a Florida dealer license application, you'll be charged with a crime. So you want to make sure that you are submitting that information and that it is correctly inputted. You can download the application at dealertraining.org. Just click on the Get License link and scroll down to Florida, and you'll be able to easily download your Florida dealer license application. Now, the state of Florida does require that you either obtain a dealer surety bond or an irrevocable letter of credit. And you want to do this before you actually get a license. The bond must be executed by an insurance company that is authorized to do business in the state of Florida. And you'll normally be able to get a dealer surety bond from a bonding company or possibly your insurance agent. And it's going to be based on your credit score. So it will be, more expensive if you do have some blemishes on your credit score. Now, in place of that, if you don't want to get a dealer surety bond, then you can actually get what's called an irrevocable letter of credit from a bank. So you need to contact your bank. There are banks that do not write irrevocable letters of credit, so you want to check with your bank first. Step number 3, you have to have insurance. You've got to show the state of Florida that you have insurance before the state of Florida will issue you your dealer's license. The state of Florida requires every motor vehicle driven on any roadway to be insured, including those demos and all service vehicles that are owned by the dealership. So the demos are the vehicles that are being test driven by your customers, and the service vehicles are, say, for example, a truck that maybe you're using to haul vehicles back and forth from an auction. You've got to have insurance because it is illegal to drive a motor vehicle in the state of Florida without proof of insurance or financial responsibility. It's also illegal for any motor vehicle owner, such as a dealer, to allow anyone else to drive your vehicles, such as your demos, without insurance. Dealer insurance is a really special type of insurance. It's quite unique in nature in that it's going to cover you when your customers are test driving vehicles. It's going to cover you when, say, for example, an employee is driving vehicles back and forth from an auction. It's also going to cover you if somebody breaks their leg on your lot. So it really is protective of the dealer. I also want you to be aware many insurance do not sell dealer insurance. So you could call your insurance agent only to find out they do not carry it. But no matter what, I strongly encourage you to get multiple quotes, because in all my years in this industry, I find that there could be one insurance agent on one side of the street that might be asking $1,200 a year for a policy, and then the insurance agent right across the street from her is asking $5,000 for the identical coverage. So you want to get multiple quotes. If your insurance agent does sell insurance, you might still consider getting a second quote, because that's not necessarily going to be the most cost-effective way for you to become insured. Make sure whoever you're using, whatever insurance agent they are, they can easily explain what type of coverage is best for you. And your dealer insurance pricing normally depends on the location of your dealership, your experience, and the number of dealer plates that you're going to possess after you get your license. So, dealer insurance can be quite expensive. However, once you become established and begin generating profits, you're going to find that dealer insurance is really only a small part of your operational expenses. And there are basically a couple of types of dealer insurance that will keep you compliant with Florida state law. The first is the bare bones cheapest, which is dealer liability. Sometimes we call it garage liability. And with dealer liability, if your customer wrecks your demo into another vehicle, it's going to fix the other person's property. It will never fix your property, because it is dealer liability. It's the cheapest way to get into the industry, but it also offers the least amount of protection. I recommend Dealers Open Lot. And you might think of this as full coverage for your inventory. If your vehicles are damaged by wind or natural disaster or hail, it's going to cover you in case of theft as well. And always be cognizant of the fact that the state of Florida has tornadoes, has hailstorms, terrible rainstorms, and of course, how often are we hit by hurricanes? So you want to make sure that you do have enough coverage for your inventory. You also need to be very aware that you could be involved with theft as well, because I've read cases where dealers had their office broken into and somebody steals several sets of keys out of your office, and your entire inventory could be gone tomorrow. So if you ever showed up at your dealership first thing in the morning and your inventory was gone, I guarantee you would not be the first dealer in Florida that's actually happened to. Garage keepers is another type of insurance you might look at. It covers vehicles that are owned by a customer that's leaving them for repair with you. So if you keep a garage, you need garage keepers. Errors and omissions is a great policy for dealers, because it covers a dealer that maybe forgot to do paperwork correctly or didn't follow the Truth in Lending Act. And if you do decide to download our training course, we cover this process extensively, the Truth in Lending Act, and also, maybe if you made a mistake on paperwork that you submitted to the state. Employment practices liability is another type of insurance that you might explore, and it provides coverage against sexual harassment lawsuits, wrongful termination of an employee, wage payment disputes. So definitely discuss these options with your insurance agent. Maybe they think that you don't need certain types of coverage, and maybe they think you do with other types. So insurance really, unfortunately, is one of the very largest expenses in this business. And, like I said, you could get a quote, say, for example, for $1,200 a year, and that might be seem expensive to you if you haven't been in the industry. But once you get your license and realize the markup, when you're buying a vehicle at a dealer auction, and the markup and what you're making for it a week later at your lot, you're probably going to wish you got a license like 20 years ago. And you're also going to realize that your insurance is really just a small part of your operational expenses. So definitely keep that in mind. Another type of coverage would be workers' compensation. So if you start hiring some employees, you definitely want to explore that to protect you and your employee in case of workplace injury. Another type of insurance, and this is optional as well, but it's called false pretense. And your insurance agent can explain this, but it basically covers a dealer that purchases a vehicle from someone that did not have the legal selling rights. And it's also going to cover when a person purchases a vehicle from a dealer in a fraudulent manner, such as with a stolen ID or something like that. So when you talk to your insurance agent to get insurance, the state does require that you have $25,000 single limit liability and $10,000 personal injury protection. So keep that in mind. Your insurance agent should be able to explain that. But I want you to be aware, any dealer in Florida that does not maintain financial responsibility on service vehicles, or drives a demo, or allows a customer to drive a demo without financial responsibility would face severe penalties. You're going to need to get an employment number and a Florida tax ID number as well. So before you apply for your Florida dealer license, you'll need to get a federal employer number, which we sometimes refer to as a tax ID number or an EIN. And this is the number the Internal Revenue Service will use to identify your business for tax purposes. And you can get this at irs.gov. Or you can call 800-829-4933. And if you do decide to download our training at dealertraining.org, we have a whole section that shows you how to apply for your employment identification number for free. So it's pretty easy. There's companies that will charge you $200 or $300 for that. In our training course, we're going to show you how to apply for that number for free. And the reason you have to have this number, the employer, the tax ID number basically shows the state of Florida that you are prepared to pay taxes on your income. And I always make a very bold prediction. If you take the steps that are necessary to get your Florida dealer license, I predict you're going to do very well financially. And, I predict your income will increase dramatically. And with that income increase, Uncle Sam, I guarantee you, is going to want a little bit of that action. So you want to make sure that you are prepared to pay taxes to the federal government. You're also going to be required to easily apply for your Florida sales tax license. And your Florida sales tax license can be gotten right there at the Florida Department of Revenue website. And we have links to that on the dealertraining.org website. Just click on the Get License link on any page, then scroll down to the Florida Dealer License link, and you can easily apply for your Florida sales tax license with the Florida Department of Revenue. And this is a requirement that needs to be completed before you apply for your Florida dealer license. Another step is fingerprints. In order to be granted a Florida dealer license, you're going to have to pass a background check that's conducted when you obtain your fingerprints. So each partner on the license that owns at least 20% or more of the dealership will need to have their fingerprints taken. This shows that you are not this hardened criminal that just got out of prison for managing some auto theft ring or something like that. The state of Florida requires you to basically be of a higher level of ethical standards than the average person that's walking down the street. Because here very soon, when you get your dealer's license, you're going to have oversight over financial transactions that are quite large, because a very large portion, if not all of your vehicles, will be worth several thousands of dollars. And when you're doing a deal, it's going to be you and maybe sometimes one customer. So before the state of Florida gives you your dealer's license, and before they give you that responsibility with complete oversight over those transactions, they want to make sure that you didn't steal a car or roll back odometers or something like that. So they just want to make sure that you are basically of a higher level of ethical standards than the average person walking down the street. And, they want to make sure you didn't just get out of prison last week or something like that. So if you're not sure where to get your fingerprints, you can go to Google, just go type in Florida fingerprint locations, and I can pretty much assure you, you probably live within about 10 minutes of a fingerprint location. Get this taken care of. It is mandatory before you apply for your dealer license. The state of Florida also requires that you have a building and a lot. So the building that you have for your license must be zoned correctly. And what I mean by this, make sure to check with your city hall or your county. You can usually ask for planning and zoning and ask if the location that you want to use is zoned correctly for a dealership. So you have to make sure it is. And this is a very important step, because I know cases where dealers have went out, purchased real estate. They bought a building to have a dealership in, and then the city turns around and tells them that they can't have a license at that location. So the state of Florida requires that your dealership meets all zoning requirements. It's going to have to be a permanently enclosed building that is either owned by you or leased by you. And if you are leasing it, the state of Florida does require that your lease is at least 6 months, okay? So the lease can never expire before your dealer license expires. You need to have sufficient space for the display of the vehicles of the kind that you're going to be selling. And I want to talk about that for a moment. You have to have a lot, okay? Now, you have to have room for the type of vehicles that you're selling. So if you're just selling motorcycles, then you have to have space for motorcycles. If you're selling cars or trucks, you have to have enough space for cars or trucks. If you're selling big, massive RVs, then you have to have enough space for massive RVs. One thing I really want you to be aware of, however, is once you get your Florida dealer's license, that will determine where you are legally able to sell your motor vehicles. So right now, I'm assuming that you do not have a dealer's license, and you can put a for sale sign in your car and basically sell it anywhere, down at the grocery store or wherever you want. But once you become a dealer, that law will change. And once you get your dealer's license, the state of Florida will actually require that all of your vehicles are sold right there at your retail license location. So let's just say, for example, your dealership's in Orlando, and you have somebody from Miami find one of your vehicles for sale on the internet, and maybe they'll tell you, I can't make it up to Orlando. Can you bring that vehicle down here and show it to me in downtown Miami? Absolutely not. You can never do that. That's a violation of state law. You're going to have to explain to some of your customers, once you've gotten your dealer's license, that all your retail sales activity must take place right there at the license location only. So how do you stay compliant with that law when you're handling internet transactions? Well, it is very, very easy to do. Okay, let's just say, for example, You have a lady in Miami that wants to buy a vehicle that you've got on your lot. She found it on Craigslist. Well, you need to mail all your paperwork down to the lady in Miami. She's going to mail you back all the completed paperwork plus payment. So once you've gotten that payment at your Orlando dealership, then you can ship or deliver the vehicle down to Miami. But what you could never do is, drive down the interstate and maybe stop at some rest area and meet that lady at some rest area and do the paperwork there and accept payment there, because that is off-site sales activity, which is illegal. And if you do that once, you'll get your license revoked and you'll never be able to have a dealer's license again. So you will have to explain to some of your customers that want you to bring a vehicle and show it at a non-licensed location, and that's a clear violation of Florida state law. You can never have retail sales activity off-site. Now, you can sell your vehicles at all the dealer auctions anywhere in the country when you're selling to other dealers, but when you're selling to a customer, the sale has to take place at the licensed location. Another step is registering your business with the Florida Secretary of State, because the Florida Secretary of State wants a record of every single business that is operating in the state, including the dealership that you're getting ready to open. So before you apply for your dealer's license, you're going to have to register your business with the Florida Secretary of State. So where can you find those links? That's right, dealertraining.org. Click on Get Licensed and scroll down to Florida, and there's a lot of helpful links for you there at dealertraining.org. Business sign and photographs. You're going to have a sign that's permanently erected on the ground, or maybe attach it to your business building. Banners are not acceptable. So I often get asked, can I just make a sign with a banner on plywood? For the expense that you put into that, that's not a compliant sign. You need to have a permanent business sign, and you're also going to enclose photographs of your building. So your photographs are going to have to include a picture of the business sign, the display lot, all four sides of the building. You also have to show a picture of your posted hours, okay? So you have to post your hours on the front of the building, because the state of Florida wants to make sure that your customers know when you're accessible, whether they have questions about a vehicle they want to purchase from you, or maybe they have questions about a vehicle that you've already purchased. You have to be accessible. So make sure that you post your hours, and you do have to submit a photograph of that as well. Your dealer training class. The state of Florida requires you take a 16-hour pre-license course, okay? Now, you can take that training in class or online, and there are 11 companies that are approved by the state of Florida, and you can find a link to the training course providers at the dealertraining.org website. And I want you to be aware, this is quite an investment of your time, obviously, 16 hours, and unfortunately, as great as state that Florida is to do business in, they have the longest pre-license training requirement in the United States, 16 hours. It's a pretty long course there. You might take it in class over a couple of days, or you might take it online. Before you invest your money and your 16 hours of your time, I strongly encourage you to consider downloading our video training course, and that you can scroll through that and make sure that getting a dealer's license is right for you. You can download that video training course at dealertraining.org. Just click on the blue download training button, and this might be one of your first steps to decide if you do want to invest your time in the actual 16-hour course. I want you to be aware our training course is not approved by the state, so you can't take our training course and then submit your license application. You have to take your training by one of the 11 companies that are approved by the state of Florida. Once you obtain your Florida dealer license, you're going to have to display it prominently. And your Florida dealer license is not only going to allow you to get into the Florida dealer auctions, you're going to be able to use your Florida dealer license to get into every single dealer auction in the United States. You can use your Florida dealer license to get into the dealer auctions up in Canada. And you can even take your dealer license in Florida and go into the handful of dealer auctions in Mexico. So you'll be able to get into every single dealer auction in the entire United States. But it is a law that you display your Florida dealer license prominently. So once you've gotten that, put it on the wall, or you don't want to store it in some file cabinet or a desk drawer or a vault. You're going to work really hard to get that Florida dealer license, and once you get it, you're going to be really proud of it. So definitely display it prominently where all your customers are going to see it. Once again, the dealer licensing information phone number in Florida is going to be 850-617-3003. Once again, that is 850-617-3003. Their website is flhsmv.gov, and all those links are going to be at the dealertraining.org website. So hopefully that's advantageous for you and very helpful for you as well. On a final note, I always want to let everyone know I've been in this industry for many years. I've owned a very profitable dealership myself, and I've trained thousands of entrepreneurs just like you in a classroom environment all over the United States. If you maintain 100% compliance with your dealer's license, you will always maintain 100% profits. And what I mean by that, if you take the additional steps to follow every rule, every law, every guideline, you're going to maintain 100% compliance. So you're never going to have fines from the state of Florida, and you'll never have your Florida dealer license revoked or suspended, because if you don't have a dealer's license, you can't make any money with it. So you want to maintain 100% compliance to ensure that you never have your license suspended or revoked, and to ensure that you never have to pay any fines out of your profits. So 100% compliance equals 100% profit. So ethics and integrity will definitely take you to the very top of this industry. Thank you very much for listening to the Dealer Training Podcast. If you found value in this podcast, I would like to ask you to please share this podcast. Please consider subscribing. And I want you to be aware, when you are ready to take your income to a whole new level, just go to dealertraining.org. We have this great video training course for you that is not available on YouTube or the podcast or anywhere else. A lot of great information. Please read the reviews. Once again, that's dealertraining.org. Click on the big blue download training button when you're ready to change your life. So thank you very much. This is Dallas Johnson with the Dealer Training Podcast, and I want to wish you the very best of luck with your new business. Now go for it.